Welcome to another video in my Intro to HTML web video series. In this video, I am going to talk about making nifty rollover effects with your navigation menus. This will lead into some other videos with drop-down menus and some other pretty cool stuff, but this is the basics here. Here's what I'm talking about. We want to create a rollover effect like this. So if you've got a navigation menu, when you hover over something, it'll change color. When you click on it, it changes to another color. You've seen this on a lot of websites. Now I want to show you how to do it. And it's actually quite simple. It's just going to build off the structure that we've been using since the very beginning, using a nav, a UL inside that nav, LIs inside that UL that will contain all of our links. So we've got a nested structure of links within list items within unordered lists that exist within a nav. So let's get that structure going here. I'm going to first open up a blank template here, save it, File, Save As, go to the appropriate folder. I'm just going to call it Rollovers 2, save it, take this out of here, and here's how we start. Nav, UL, and I've got 5 LIs, each one containing a link. Now those links have just a null reference. They don't have any. They don't take us anywhere. If I wanted to, I could actually put a reference in here. http://www.google.com. And copy this into the other ones. But usually when I'm just making a placeholder navigation, I just put those number symbols in there just as placeholders, just have some null references. Save it. So when I run this in the browser, here's what it looks like. I've just got my 5 links with bullets because it's list items. The first thing that I wanted to do was make these list items horizontal. So instead of being stacked vertically, they're going to be horizontal all on one line. That's what you saw in the example that I showed earlier. This example here. So to make those horizontal, we talked about this in an earlier video. I need to select the list items, okay? And I need to display inline. Display inline. Now one problem with this, with doing this, is that every single time I have a list, either a ordered list or unordered list, all of those list items will be displayed inline. I don't want that. The only time I want list items to be displayed inline or on the same line is when they exist inside the navigation. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I'm going to save this and refresh it. There you go. They're all in line. But anytime I make another list somewhere, so if I copied this list and put it outside of the nav, it too will display inline, which I don't like. I wanted this to be a vertical one. So I can fix that. I'm going to select only list items that exist within ULs, that exist within nav. Okay? So I'm selecting nav, UL, LI. So I'm only selecting these LIs, not these LIs down here. So watch what happens. I'm going to save it and refresh it. My lower list acts normal. My list inside of the nav goes in line. Very, very important. This is that idea of a descendant selection that we talked about in a previous video. I just wanted to reinforce it here. So I'll take this list out here. I don't need it. So I've displayed it in line. Now, how do we get them to have those background colors? First of all, I'm going to give the nav a background color. Nothing terribly interesting, just red. Now how do we set those links apart? First of all, we need to select the links, the A's that exist in this structure. I have to do descendant to selection again because I don't want all of my links on the page to behave as my navigation does. So in order to do that, I'll just copy this part of this selector, and then I'll do A colon link. Change the background color. I'll change it to white for now. Save it. And now the backgrounds of my links are white. So what did I do here? I did this funny thing here, A colon link. This thing is called a pseudo-class selector. It allows us to select specific states of elements. There are some elements that have multiple states. A link has 4 states. It has a link state, which you might have seen. Normally when you look at links on the internet, they're going to be blue. There's going to be a visited state. And you've seen this before. Anytime you visit a link and you come back to look at that link again, it's purple. It's got a hover state, which means when you hover the cursor over that link, something changes. And then it's got an active state. That means when you're actively clicking on the link, you get a change. So A link, A visited, A hover, and A active. This is how you select those 4 states. So nav ULLI A link, nav ULLI A visited, nav ULLI A hover, nav ULLI A active. Selecting the 4 states of the A element or the link element. I'm going to change these around a little bit. My visited state is going to be yellow. My hover state is going to be olive. Yeah, these are terrible colors. My active state is going to be pink. Save it. Go to the browser and refresh it. Now you can see they all turn to yellow because they've all been visited. I've been to Google many times. When I hover, they turn to olive because that's my hover state. When I click, they turn to pink. Okay? We can also change the color of the text to make them contrasting. So on the white, I'm going to make it black. On the yellow, I'm going to make it navy. On the olive, I'm going to make it pink, so it's really visible. On the pink, I'm going to make it yellow to have really high contrast, make it really bright. Save it, refresh it, go back. So now you can see when I hover, pink text on olive background, yellow text on pink background. When I click, visited is navy with yellow. So there you have it. You've got a horizontal list with hover effects. Now if we were going to put this into a website, we'd really think about the design with color. These colors are terrible. We would think about more white space. Remember, we don't like to have content touching the edge of the box. We've got some problems with that here. And we would think about how this would actually sit into a whole design. But this is just a skeleton. This is a rough template that you can use over and over and over again in your designs.